How wonderful you two look. Come talk to us. We have a message from God. He is not happy with this place. May we come in?
Yes, please. Come in.
Let them out or let us... Let those two men out! Send them out or else!
Please tell me, what is this message from God? I have not sinned in this place or my family.
God has spoken you are to leave this place at once, and do not look back, no matter what you hear.
Yes, my family and I will leave at once. Daughters, we are to leave this place at once. Find your mother. And daughters, you must hurry now. Where is my wife? Find her with haste. Hurry now. It is getting dark. We must hurry. God Almighty said, do not look back, no matter what. Oh, magnificent light. I see you now. Oh, magnificent creation. God Almighty. God, please have mercy on me. It is getting dark. We must hurry. God Almighty said, do not look back no matter what.
I want to see.
Finally, it has come to pass.
On the night Abraham challenged the judge of all the earth, everything rested on a single question. Could 10 righteous people save an entire city from an inferno from heaven? While ancient law demanded justice, Abraham dared to bargain, setting a threshold that would decide not just Sodom's fate, but the legacy of mercy itself. What unfolded would test the boundary between justice and destruction, and it all began with a negotiation that almost no one remembers. Abraham stands beneath the ancient oaks, the desert wind stirring the dust at his feet. He draws near, not as a supplicant, but as one who dares to speak before the judge of all the earth. In Hebrew, his words ring with both boldness and humility. He asks, "Will you indeed sweep away the righteous with the wicked?" He does not plead for mercy on sentimental grounds. Instead, he invokes the very principle by which the world is to be governed: justice. Abraham's voice carries the weight of legal argument, echoing the language of ancient petitions and treaty appeals. He says, "Far be it from you to do such a thing, to slay the righteous with the wicked. Shall not the judge of all the earth do what is just?" This appears in Genesis chapter 18, verse 25. The Hebrew text lingers on the word mishpat, justice, judgment, the standard by which every verdict must be measured. Abraham is not simply asking for leniency, he is putting the very concept of divine justice on trial. His approach is measured, respectful, yet unflinching, like a litigant who knows the law and trusts its power to persuade. This is no casual conversation. Abraham stands alone, but he speaks as if representing a city's worth of lives. The formality of his language, the careful escalation of his appeal, recalls the diplomatic bargaining found in the archives of Mari and the suzerainty treaties of Hittite kings. Yet here, the stakes are cosmic. In this solemn moment, the fate of Sodom is suspended on the scales of righteousness and judgment. Abraham's words, preserved in the ancient script, become the opening argument in a trial that will test the limits of mercy and the meaning of justice itself. Abraham stands his ground, voice steady as he begins to count down the numbers. 50. Righteous, would that be enough? The answer comes, yes, the city will be spared for 50. But Abraham does not stop there. He lowers the number step by careful step. 45, 40, 30, 20. Each time, the response remains the same. For the sake of these, the destruction will not come. The negotiation unfolds with a measured rhythm, echoing the legal petitions of ancient courts where a vassal would press a king for mercy, not in a single plea, but in a deliberate sequence of requests. The Hebrew text preserves this cadence, each reduction a test of the boundaries of justice and compassion. The pattern is striking. Abraham does not leap to the lowest number, but moves through a sequence: 50, 45, 40, 30, 20, 10. The number 10, in later tradition, becomes the minimum for a community, a quorum for public prayer, a symbolic threshold for collective identity. In Abraham's world, it stands not as a fixed legal standard, but as a literary endpoint, the final measure of hope for a city's redemption. No ancient Near Eastern law code sets 10 as the number to save a city, yet the narrative structure borrows the logic of treaty appeals and royal petitions found in the archives of Mari and Hittite lands, where repeated, respectful bargaining tests the limits of a sovereign's mercy. Abraham's persistence is not haggling for advantage, but a calculated pursuit of justice. Each reduction is a calculated risk, a gamble that even a handful of righteous people might tip the scales. The negotiation closes with God's agreement. If 10 are found, the city will stand. The terms are set. The countdown leaves the fate of Sodom suspended, waiting for the test that will follow. Lot sits at the gate of Sodom as dusk settles over the city. In the ancient world, this is not a casual perch. The gate is where elders judge disputes, seal contracts, and decide who belongs. Lot's presence signals a measure of status. He is no longer an outsider camping on the plain, but a man woven into the city's civic fabric. Yet his roots remain foreign, a fact that will soon draw sharp lines in the sand. Two strangers approach, dust still clinging to their feet from the road. Lot rises immediately, bows low, and insists they accept his hospitality. His invitation is more than politeness. In the customs of the region, to host a traveler is to take on legal and moral responsibility for their safety. Ancient tablets from Mari and Nutsi echo this obligation. A guest under one's roof is owed protection, even against threats from the wider community. The act of foot washing seals this bond, marking the threshold where a stranger becomes a guest and the host's home becomes a place of temporary asylum. Lot presses the men to come inside, offering not only shelter, but a feast. The ritual of washing feet is not mere refreshment. It is a public gesture, witnessed at the gate, signaling that these men are now under his care. In the world of Sodom, where the law of hospitality stands as both shield and test, Lot's actions carry the weight of civic duty and personal risk. The city's legal order is engaged. The stakes are no longer private. As the door closes behind them, the fragile peace of the household stands in sharp contrast to the gathering tension outside. Night falls hard in Sodom. The quiet inside Lot's house is broken by shouts from the street, louder, closer, gathering force. The text is unambiguous. Every man in the city, young and old, has converged at Lot's door. Their demand is chilling in its simplicity. Bring them out to us, that we may know them. In Hebrew, the verb used, yada, can mean to know or to become acquainted, but here the meaning is unmistakable, a threat of sexual violence, an act intended not only to harm but to shame and dominate. Lot steps outside, closing the door behind him. He pleads with the mob, calling them brothers, desperate to defuse the crisis. He offers his own daughters in a gesture that, to modern ears, is appalling, but in the ancient world underscores the absolute duty to protect guests, even at the cost of family. The crowd's response is immediate and hostile. This fellow came here as a foreigner, and now he acts as a judge. Lot's authority as a gate-sitter, as a host, is shredded in the face of collective rage. The city's legal order, built on hospitality and the protection of strangers, collapses in the dust. The mob surges forward, pressing against the door. At that moment, the visitors reveal their true nature. The angels reach out, drag Lot inside, and shut the door. Then, with a word, they strike the men outside with blindness, sinwirim, a term that suggests not only loss of sight, but a supernatural confusion, a dazzling chaos. The attackers grope helplessly, unable to find the door, their violence turned back on itself. In that instant, the last boundaries of justice and order in Sodom vanish. The city is left in darkness, both literal and moral, as the angels prepare Lot's family for the only path left: escape. At first light, the warning comes without ceremony. The angels speak with urgency. Take your wife, your 2 daughters who are here, lest you be swept away in the punishment of the city. Lot hesitates, caught between the life he built and the terror at his doorstep. There is no more time. The angels seize his hand, the hands of his wife and daughters, and lead them beyond the city walls. Mercy, not merit, carries them forward. Outside Sodom, the command is stark and absolute. Flee for your life. Do not look back or stop anywhere on the plain. Escape to the hills, lest you be swept away. The order is not open to debate. Yet Lot falters, pleading for a compromise. The mountains seem too distant, too dangerous. He begs to take shelter in a small town nearby, Zoar, a place so minor it might escape the coming devastation. The request is granted. Very well. I grant you this favor. I will not overthrow the city of which you have spoken. With the sun rising over the plain, Lot and his family run. Every step is a test of obedience. Behind them, the city that once promised security is now the epicenter of judgment. The air is charged with dread, the silence broken only by hurried footsteps and the echo of the angel's command, "Do not look back." The fate of Sodom hangs behind them, unseen, as the last remnants of mercy move toward the safety of Zoar. The sun climbs above the plain, and the last echoes of hurried footsteps fade into the hills. Then, without warning, the sky itself becomes the instrument of judgment. The Hebrew text draws out the moment with stark finality. The Lord rained upon Sodom and Gomorrah sulfur and fire, from the Lord out of the heavens. The double divine name YHWH from YOHWH signals an act that is both intimate and absolute, as if the judgment descends from the very heart of the cosmos. Sulfur, gophrith in the ancient tongue, carries the sting of brimstone, a substance known for its choking fumes and its power to strip life from the land. The fire that follows is no ordinary blaze, it is a consuming force, turning the cities and every green thing to ash. The narrative lingers on the devastation. Where there were fields and vineyards, there is only scorched earth. Where there were homes and laughter, nothing remains but silence and ruin. In the chaos, one figure falters. Lot's wife, unnamed in the text, breaks the command that held their lives together. She turns and looks back. The Hebrew verb hints at more than a glance. It is a lingering, searching gaze, a refusal to let go. In that instant, she becomes a pillar of salt. The transformation is swift and irreversible. Salt, melach, stands in the landscape as both monument and warning. a crystallized memory of what clinging to the past can cost. Later tradition will point to the salt pillars along the Dead Sea and recall her fate, but the text itself offers only this: she looked back, and she was lost. Above the plain, smoke rises in a dense column, like the smoke of a kiln. The image is ancient, evoking the furnaces that once fired bricks for city walls. Now, the smoke marks the end of a civilization. The destruction is total, yet the narrative's language remains measured, almost liturgical in its repetition, sulfur and fire from the Lord out of the heavens. Judgment executed, the world altered, and only silence remains where Sodom and Gomorrah once stood. Beneath the salt cliffs and windswept plains of the Dead Sea, the search for Sodom has drawn archaeologists to both ancient ruins and the boundaries of scientific debate. The most prominent candidate in recent years is Tal el-Hammam, a vast Bronze Age city northeast of the Dead Sea. Excavations led by Stephen Collins uncovered a destruction layer dated to around 1650 BCE, marked by melted pottery, vitrified mud bricks, and evidence of intense heat. Some researchers argue that only temperatures exceeding 2,000 degrees Celsius, far hotter than ordinary urban fires, could account for the glassy debris and mineral transformations found at the site. In 2021, a team published a study proposing that Tal el-Hammam was obliterated by a cosmic airburst, an explosion in the atmosphere similar to the 1908 Tunguska Event in Siberia. The theory points to shocked quartz, tiny metallic spherules, and high-temperature melt products as physical traces of a blast wave that flattened buildings and set the city ablaze. Proponents suggest this catastrophe could have inspired the biblical image of fire and sulfur raining from the heavens. Yet the airburst model has met with sharp criticism. Independent geologists have questioned the identification of shocked quartz, the reliability of sample selection, and the control of excavation layers. Some argue that intense urban fires, possibly triggered by earthquake or warfare, could explain the destruction without invoking an extraterrestrial event. Others point to the long gap between the city's end and the writing of Genesis, calling any direct link to Sodom speculative at best. Beyond Tal el-Hammam, alternative sites like Bab Edra and Numera on the southern Dead Sea Plain also show evidence of fiery destruction, but their occupation and destruction dates do not align with the Middle Bronze Age setting of the Abraham story. Across the field, most scholars agree the archaeological record offers dramatic ruins and catastrophic horizons, but no single site has emerged as the definitive Sodom. The debate continues, shaped by new finds, contested methods, and the enduring power of an ancient narrative. Across centuries, the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah has sparked debate, reflection, and reinterpretation. In the Hebrew Bible, the prophet Ezekiel offers a striking diagnosis. In chapter 16, he names Sodom's guilt not as sexual transgression alone, but as arrogance, gluttony, and neglect of the poor. She and her daughters had pride, excess of food, and prosperous ease, but did not aid the poor and needy. This reading shifts the focus from private vice to public injustice, a city condemned for turning its back on the vulnerable. Rabbinic tradition expands that portrait. Midrashim recount laws forbidding charity, stories of cruelty to strangers, and a city where hospitality itself was outlawed. In these texts, Sodom becomes a cautionary tale about a society that weaponizes the law against compassion. Abraham's bargaining is remembered as an act of holy audacity, a model for arguing with God on behalf of justice, even when the odds are long. Christian readings often move in a different direction. Early church writers, drawing on the Greek translations and letters like Jude chapter 1 verse 7, emphasize Sodom as a symbol of moral corruption and the dangers of unchecked desire. Over time, the word sodomy enters the vocabulary of canon law, expanding to cover a range of sexual acts seen as unnatural or deviant. Medieval statutes and later civil codes echo this legacy, though the category broadens and shifts with each generation. Yet some Christian voices, ancient and modern, return to the themes of hospitality, violence, and the fate of the vulnerable as the heart of the warning. In the Quran, the story of Lut is retold as a prophetic warning. Lut's people persist in indecency and refuse his call to reform. The messengers arrive, the threat to their safety is clear, and the destruction comes as a storm of stones. Here, the narrative centers on rejection of divine guidance and communal responsibility. Lut's wife herself is named among those who turn away. Classical Islamic exegesis draws out the lesson: heed the warning, protect the guest, and do not let arrogance blind a community to its obligations. Each tradition, in its own language, finds something different in the ruins of Sodom. For some, it is a story of justice and mercy. For others, a warning against corruption or a call to defend the stranger. The ancient text resists a single answer. Instead, it invites ongoing reflection. What does it mean for a city or a people to be judged? Where does responsibility begin and end? And how do we read an old story in light of new questions? Today, the ruins around the Dead Sea still spark debate, proof that ancient warnings echo long after the fire is gone. As cities wrestle with justice and belonging, the threshold Abraham set endures. What is the minimum goodness that saves a community? The line between destruction and mercy is never just history. It is the question every society must face anew. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.
We have a message from God. He is not happy with this place. May we come in?
Yes, please. Come in.
Let them out or let us. Let those two men out! Send them out or else!
Please tell me, what is this message from God? Finally, it has come to pass.